Hi everyone, Happy New Year! It's 2020. Welcome to my channel. I'm Natalie. And I finally have like a day or not a day, what am I saying? An afternoon / evening, although it's already 5 o'clock, where there's actually time off for the first time in like a couple of weeks. Happy holidays. I mean, that's just how it's been. I wasn't going to do 31 Days of Tarot because I don't like taking part in things when I know I can't fully commit. And I tend to only say yes to things where I really know that I can commit. And I can commit fully and deeply, and that means, too, that I'm able to really participate in terms of watching other people's stuff. It still burns me right now that I participated in New Beginnings 2020 and have had so little involvement with the other creators who were a part of it. And I'm continuing to try and remember, like, when I pull up YouTube on my phone, or on my computer, like, oh, remember, you need to make a playlist for that, or you need to get the link for the playlist, or, just those kinds of things, because it's, anyway, too much information. I need to let go. That's what it is. I need to let it go. Yeah, no copyright infringement there, because I will not sing the song now, which I was very tempted to do, but I will refrain. So, that aside, can you hear the chaos in my voice and see it in my presence? So what I'm going to do is go through Christmas goodies and presents that I got, and then I'm like sitting here like, we couldn't talk about the favorite decks, but then I'll do favorite decks, and I've got a way of qualifying them this time so that it's not the same old crap that I usually trawl out. So, not that any of the decks that I work with are crap, just that I can trawl out the same old thing over and over again, kind of like meatloaf at Grandma Edna's house. So, what did I get for Christmas? So I put several decks on my Christmas list. Several. And my family clearly thinks it's cute that I have this new little thing that I'm doing, which they oddly find comfort in, because I always did tarot for years, and then I suddenly stopped and went crazy Buddhist on them, although I was never crazy, just in their mind, right? It just was not what they were familiar with. And then I got rid of all my decks except for a couple that were in storage and rah. At any rate, then they realized how many I have, and they're like, why would anyone need that many tarot decks? And I don't even try to explain it. So anyway, they were not keen on the idea of getting me tarot decks, and yet my mom couldn't resist getting me a toy. So one thing she got me was the Royal Mischief Transformation Playing Cards by Patrick Valenza, which Tom and I have had so much fun playing with, just like looking at them and sitting with them while we're watching something on TV. If you've never seen these, I won't walk through all of them now, but they're utterly, ooh, hello, come back, where am I? They're utterly delightful. Just utterly delightful, and kind of violent and horrible at the same time, although this one's really pretty wonderful. I love it. His sense of humor in so many ways is really in keeping with my, that's pretty horrible. But it is pretty well in keeping with my sense of humor, and it's creepy and gross and wonderful. Yeah. So anyway, I've had so much fun playing with them. The back of the cards is delightful. I don't know how I'm going to use them or if I'm going to use them. Sometimes it's fun just to have, I think it's kind of like having a toy that you play with, that you enjoy having, because it's fun to be playful. And that's where I am with these right now. They are gilded, sort of ish. They have kind of an interesting and unusual looking gilding. It's kind of black and gray and silver. It's pewter. Maybe it's pewter. It's kind of wonderful. So that was my major Christmas present. and Christmas goodie. Ta-da! That was it. Tom and I don't exchange Christmas presents because we are not, well, we're not Christian. It's not that we don't celebrate that time of year and the time of year that it is, because we do, and we celebrate with our families, but really we kind of just buy each other little presents and things throughout the year. I think we got each other some presents last year that were small but had some significance because I had such an awful time last December. When I do my yearly catch-up, I'll elaborate on that one, but yeah, it was tough. Anyway, what I did get, however, from family members and so on was some Christmas money. And with that, I have purchased a few decks that have not yet arrived, and one that has. Is there just the one? I think it's just the one that has arrived. So I'm going to wait until I've got a whole slew of them. And I don't actually think there's that many. I'm thinking maybe there's 4. There might only be, no, 5. There are 5 altogether. And I think once they've arrived, I will, share and unbox and do all of that. There's one that has arrived. I'm going to go ahead and just put out the unboxing of it and leave it at that. So, number 2, day 2. Woo! Okay. Can you tell I really just need to relax and have fun? It's been a really crazy time, working with a client that has Alzheimer's and, is at end of life, but definitely has a while to go and is therefore in need of a lot of care and a lot of the family, then a lot of support is like stepping through Alice's looking glass every day. And humor is great. But when I have a chance to be goofy and kind of offload and I don't have to worry about being professional at the same time, it's really nice. I just need it. So, and I take any opportunity I can to do readings because, readings are a form of sanity, right? So, with that said, I would love to tell you about my top tarot decks of the year. With a caveat. So the caveat for my tarot decks for the year, I'm sitting here clutching one of them right as we speak, a different one than last time. I'm going to give only the top decks based on the ones I have worked with most heavily. Now, what I mean by that is that these are the decks with which I have spent the most time. I guess, or I've been the most invested in somehow, or that speak. Okay, let's say there's a mix. I'm just realizing I'm about to not be completely authentic about this, which is, I don't like. I'm going to say that I have, let's look, hang on, 1, 2, 3 decks that I've worked with extremely heavily. One will be a surprise. And 2 decks, I'm just scoping the area here. I got a lot of decks sitting out. 2 decks with which I have a profound affinity and am working more deeply with. Because I haven't had them for as long. I mean, 3 of these I have had, I guess that's fair. 3 of them I've had since the very beginning of the year. So let's start with the ones that are the newest, since I've got one in my hand. So the ones that are the newest one, the latest one, is the Tarot of the She. Ta-da! Big shock. It was in my Council of 7, which was a Council of 4. But this deck, I have such an affinity with. It kind of has an oddly comforting and yet cool and detached, or slightly detached feel about it, and that is something I really, really love. It's a wonderful deck. That looks a lot like the Guardians. Wow. Anyway, it's got this amazing feel to it. I felt so called to the She, in the last several months, and maybe longer, really, maybe a very long time. And just never quite knew what it was that I was being called to work with. I don't know what to do with it. I'm going to continue to uncover that and continue to work with this deck, and with the Moon Oracle of the She, which I also have. Some of you will notice, and there will be a video coming up, that my collection of hagstones that sits on my desk, it continues to get bigger and bigger all the time. And I feel like they call to me and talk to me in various ways on a regular basis that I'm just trying to kind of get to grips with. But this deck has opened that up for me in ways that I would never have expected. And for that, I can really thank Diane Jarecki of Indigo Moon Woman, who is no longer on YouTube, much to the disappointment and sadness of many of us. She's a dear, dear friend and somebody I care about very deeply. And so thankfully, we are able to keep in touch on email, and we text each other very frequently and so on. But she's the one that said, you really should check that one out. The reason that she said that was because of my next deck, which is one that, again, I got it. I guess I got it back in May, I want to say like around Mother's Day or just after. And it hit me really hard, and I had to put it away for a little while, but I really loved it. I just didn't quite what to do with it yet. And then August came. It was one of the hardest months of the year, and it was a pretty hard year in many ways in 2019. And this deck really got me through the month of August in a way that I will never forget. And it is the Pholarchos Tarot by Carmen Sorrenti, and I've been delighted to see at how well this deck has taken off, and how much it's taking hold in the community. It's a really powerful deck. I feel like it has very strong she energy, and it feels, I think Diane had said, it feels like the love child of the Marielle Tarot and the Tarot of the She. Which, if you work with either of those decks, it kind of does. It has that vibe. But it also has another vibe that's completely unique and completely its own. And it has a lot of familiarity in it. There's a lot of familiarity between my story and my life and Carmen's. And it really, I don't know, I feel like I'm talking to a friend when I'm with this deck. I feel like I'm dealing with a friend that really gets me and understands me in a way that few others do. One of my favorite cards. It's Six of Coral. So yeah. So this would be the second one on my list. They're not really in a particular order, although anybody who knows me will kind of get that there is kind of an order. Okay. The next ones. Yeah, I'm going to group these two decks together simply because they're by the same creator. I have worked extensively with them this year, for both in my own tarot practice and with clients, and that's the Spirit Speak and the Apparition. Spirit Speak. So those of you who are familiar, woo, there it goes flying. It wants to chat already. It's a big talker, this deck. This one, I've been watching Deadwood. This deck is one hell of a talker. And it will, take what you think you know about RWS, and it will challenge every bit of it. Even though it's based on the RWS, it's asking to be read as its own deck. And it is deceptively simple looking. But as you work with it, it goes deeper and deeper. And I really love the creator. I love Mary Elizabeth Evans' work. She is so understated and kind of she seems very simple doesn't mean not like a lack of complexity. Let's put it that way, right? There is great complexity in the work that she creates. It is just that this one has unfurled a lot for me, but you just have to take time with it because it takes a while. It takes a while to get. It takes a while to kind of go in, right? and work with. So this has been a great deck to read with. It's also very small, right? I think I have pretty big hands, and I really am aware of that when I watch people who have small hands hold the same deck as me on a channel. I would imagine that if I were sitting next to some of you out there who I adore and love, we would have a good time, because I'm actually kind of a giant. I'm really not a very small person. And I do have big hands, but it is a very small deck. It makes it very portable. It makes it very easy to take with you. I can tuck it in my bag or in another thing and take it with me and read anywhere for anyone at any time. So Spirit Speak, ta-da! And then we have the Apparition. And this deck, again, I just adore. Maybe even more than Spirit Speak. I don't know. It has a very different voice. It's a very distinctively different voice than Spirit Speak. And I think this year I may go ahead and get Davina. I don't know. I have 4 of her decks. I think she's got 6 altogether, and I've got 4 of the 6. I've never done a walkthrough of Vessels or of Iris, but they're gorgeous. Yeah, I just love this one. Strength is, 8. So this one is kind of RWS, except that she did flip her Strength and Justice cards. And my card of the year this year is 11, which, depending on the deck, is either Strength or Justice. And, it's really amusing to me to take the poll from all of my decks. I assume, we just don't think. But this is so RWS-like that it really kind of can, it can throw you a little, you know what I mean? Can put a little, anyway, you know what I'm saying. So that's the Apparition. Let's get down to business here. So the next one that I got in order, so I'm going back in time through the year, through 2019. And this is, by the way, not 5 decks. In case you didn't notice, it's not exactly 5 decks. Let's see, how many is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 altogether. But I'm counting Spirit Speak and Apparition as the same as 1. So it's 6, really. It's really 6, right? Okay, so this next one I really rarely speak about. It's the Indigo Alchemist Tarot. And I really love working with this deck with clients, okay? I don't know how many, it's not a very well-known deck or, a deck that gets talked about much. It is a delightful deck, guys. A lot of people are put off by the words on the pages. Get over it. Go and pay attention to what is the creator giving you here. She's got a very specific intention, which is the page is a messenger. These are so evocative, and they're so colorful and bright and fun. And you can kind of tell that they've been well loved this year. I read with them a lot. When I read for clients on the lines, I use these a lot. So I have gone through phases of time where I've worked with this one and the Marielle on a daily basis, because I've used been using both of them on the lines. But yeah, Heather keeps talking about the possibility of doing a reprint with better cardstock. Heather, I love you. If you're listening, I would love that so much. I have actually gotten really used to hi, puppy bear, to shuffling with these. So I'm no longer at a place where it's like, it's so thin and weird. They have a, let's see, let's do this. They have a pretty, it's not the most comfortable shuffle. It's kind of flappy. The cardstock is unbelievably thin. But you know what, guys? This is actually, this is the level of chipping and so forth. I edged them with Sharpie, with blue Sharpie at the beginning of the year. So that is wearing down, and so on. But they've actually worn really, really well. I mean, say what you want, but I mean, a good deck is a good deck. So I don't know. I mean, this one, I have had a back and forth relationship with it, and I've really realized simply through reading with it, through working with it, how unbelievably good and useful it is. So check it out. I have a walkthrough of it on my channel that I did way back at the beginning of last year, not long after I got it. So, it's one I recommend. It's really, really well done. So that's the Indigo Alchemist Tarot. And again, I read with this one on a regular basis, and I love it. Okay. Next in line would be New Earth Tarot. And here's a funny story about the New Earth Tarot, everybody. And this I regard, by the way, the New Earth and the Marielle to be kind of two of my soul decks, right? Really nothing kind of approaches the Marielle in the same way, but if they did, the New Earth, the Pholarchos, and Tarot of the She would get really close, and really, there we go. I feel like this is, the New Earth is kind of in its own category. I love this deck. I worked very deeply with it this year. And it's funny because I had already worked very deeply with it this year, and I have a lot of other discs that are discs. I have a lot of other decks in a disc shape that I'm thinking I want to work with in depth, or in greater depth this year. I thought, well, I'll put this one aside, and come back to it. And what ended up happening was this kind of like, I almost was like, no. And, last night I was looking for the Three of Swords. Y from Aquaricorn had come up with a Three of Swords as his card for the year. Good God, it's almost like having, wait till you guys see my Merkaba spread. Oh my God. It's like having someone say, hey, your card of the year is going to be death. Like, here's the one you get to draw. Three of Swords sucks in a Rider-Waite-Smith deck. It is Solabusca encumbered, right? That's how we have learned to read the Three of Swords. But the tarot is it is its own shifting kind of living being. So I was looking for the Three of Swords to show why. And where are you? Are you at the back? Were you at the back right where I would have found you easily? Yeah, okay. So here it is. And I love that this energy is different. So the energy of this deck, and Kate Silver, I can't really say enough about this deck. Where did I put its wonderful book? It's somewhere in this house. I do not know where it is. It's somewhere on my bookshelves, and it's not immediately obvious. It's a very thick, chunky book, like really good. You can sink your teeth into it. And she makes every single choice that she puts into this deck very, very intentional and specific and clear. And it looks soft, but very much like any of my Zen teachers. I had a Zen teacher who I still stay in touch with, actually, and I love her to pieces. Her name is Haju Sunim, and she lives up in Ann Arbor, and she can look at you with the most intense love and like a mother who's proud of their child. And at the same time, 5 minutes later, she would look at me and just say, Jung-Yu, it would do me, she would just end up giving me this admonition, but I wouldn't realize how swiftly I'd been kind of kicked in the butt until later, and I kind of thought, whoa, that was heavy what she just gave me, but I actually was able to take it pretty well. I don't know how I did that. And this deck has that quality. It'll kind of give you that swift kick in the butt. It looks very soft and sweet and loving, and it is. And it is, don't be fooled. It will give you, it'll kick you, you know, it'll whack you with the wake up stick, So I then realized, oh, it still needs to be worked with this year. And then suddenly I have a whole plan for how I'm going to work with it. So that'll be in another video too. All right. And then last but not least, and I swear I won't talk about it too much, soul deck of the year, of the whenever, decade, whatever, is the Marielle Tarot, and specifically the first edition. Love at first sight, folks. Not even love, just immediate, like, oh, this describes my journey. This describes my understanding of everything. And in ways that I can't verbalize, and I don't have to anymore because it's here. It felt like such an answer to a call. So, yeah. So if you're interested at all, I'm doing and have been doing a series on the Marielle Tarot, which I imagine will continue through the year because I'm structuring a lot of my personal practice around working with this one. And I will be talking more about that in future videos. Yeah. I'm creating a playlist as we speak. Hopefully by the time this is up, the playlist will be created. I've got a lot of work to do for the channel. There's a lot to come. So, yes. So this is ta-da! Days 1 and 2. Yay! Let's see if I can actually get it posted. Oh, it's crazy. Okay. Happy New Year, folks, and lots and lots and lots of love to all of you. I hope it's going beautifully so far. And may we all have the most wonderful and enlightening journey together this year. Okay. Mwah. Bye.